See him a beast when he hear that sound like yeah, beat on the beat when he hear that sound like woo. Yeah, bitch on the champ, only me one round like yeah, me, I'm a G-Ring.
Okay, everyone, 13-2 and your number 12 featherweight in the UFC. Please welcome the one and only Super Sodiq Yusuff. Sodiq, my man, thank you so much. How you doing?
I can't complain, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course, dude. Thank you for joining me. You just said you came back from practice, so I know you probably would rather go shower.
Yep. I literally just walked in the door now.
Well, again, thank you, man. I appreciate it. We'll try to make it as quick as possible. Right off the bat, got to give you big props, man. 2 weeks ago, obviously everybody knows by now, but you get the 30-second guillotine choke over Don Shainis. How did that go? I mean, 30 seconds of a fight, but break it down for me if you can.
Man, to be honest, if I could be in there for 1 second, I'll happily take it. I'm not one of these guys gonna lie to you about wanting to be in wars. If I'm in a war, there's something going wrong, you know.
Right.
But like you guys know, Don, he took the fight as a replacement for Giga, and I got a lot of crap for that because a lot of guys were like, "Man, why are you taking this fight? It's high risk, low reward," you know. And they're like, no matter how you do, people are gonna complain, but a 30-second victory, you know, that's the best you could do in that kind of situation, you know, because if it's close, people are gonna be like, oh man, that's a debut guy that you had a close fight with, and if you lose, it's like I might lose my ranking, you know. So that's the best outcome I could have wished for.
And dude, it was your first submission since I believe your amateur debut. Is that correct?
Yeah, since my amateur days. I think I've had a couple of submissions as that. You know what? You might be.
That's what it says on a shirt dog, at least.
Yeah. You might be right. But the funny thing is, like, I do jiu-jitsu more than I do any other martial arts, and like in the DMV, like around this area, people know like I have good grappling. But for some reason, like in the fights, you know, like striking is what comes to me naturally. Like if I get rocked or something bad happens in a fight and I just blink, what I'll naturally do is go back to striking, you know. Grappling is one of those things that I have to make a conscious decision to do.
Bro, if I had the hands that you do, I'd be the same way, man. You got some hammers. So, dude, so like your card was the Zuckerberg card, correct? That was when Mark Zuckerberg was there?
Yes.
What was that vibe like? Like apparently he missed your fight. What's up with that?
Yeah, man. Like it was I actually didn't mind it, other than the fact that he didn't watch me fight, you know. Sure. I was like, man, how you gonna watch everybody else? But to be honest, somebody made a good point. That was like, he probably went to use the restroom, and by the time he came back, your fight was already over.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
So I was like, okay, I guess I understand it now. But it would have been nice to at least like get a picture or something. I was like, hey, Mark, I'll give you some private lessons. You know, I see you're like a big MMA fan now. I'll give you some private lessons. But it is what it is. I know. I don't know if other fighters mind like not having anybody in the audience, but to me, to be honest, it's cool. Like I feel like in a situation like that, it just turns the fight into kind of like MMA sparring, you know, like sparring at the gym. Like the crowd is all good for like when you win and like the walkout and stuff. But when it comes to the actual fight, if it's silent and you can hear like coaches easier, and you could hear the other guys' coaches, you know.
Yeah.
So, like it turns into more of a fun game than when it's like there's some crowds where like it's so loud where you're not gonna hear anything. Your coaches have to scream at the top of their lungs.
Yeah, dude. Like I never fought in the UFC, obviously, but like I wrestled in high school, and some of those crowds were crazy.
Exactly.
I can't even imagine.
It's actually pretty close to that because the same thing. Like remember, like the wrestling days on like when it's like a big tournament. That's kind of what it's like in some arenas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure freaking MSG, the poster got it, gets a little louder in there and stuff. But
exactly.
So, dude, we were just talking about wars, how you don't like to have them, but I have to ask you about one of the wars you had. It was a dominant victory on your side, but you still went the distance against Mike Davis on the Contender Series. You guys shared the card together last week. I just want to ask you, how do you rank that fight amongst every Contender Series fight ever?
It's definitely number one, like no doubt, man. Come on, like that's definitely the number one fight. Yeah. I'm surprised the UFC doesn't promote it more as the number one fight in Contender Series history. You know,
I saw you talking about that. Yeah.
Every once in a while they'll put like our highlight up, but I was like, man, y'all gotta let it be known. Like I think we might have the most views on the YouTube. Maybe O'Malley might have a little bit more than us, but outside of O'Malley, I think our fight has the most views on their YouTube for the Contender Series, you know. But like they need to put some respect on our name. And to be honest, there's a reason why both of us are still in the UFC. It's rare when you see like the winner and the loser get a contract, you know. Yeah. But it was just a matchup thing. To be honest, if that same night Chase Hooper fought another featherweight. So if they'd like split us up again and let me and Mike fight them too, you know,
A little different, yeah.
It would have been different. But like I really appreciate that fight, man. Like I was saying before about the lack of an audience. That was the first fight I had with that kind of experience. And I feel like that was the most comfortable I've ever been in a fight ever, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even though it was a war, like I could hear his coaches, he could hear my coaches, you know, like we're both making adjustments as the fight is going on based off what the coaches are saying, you know?
Right.
And that was early Contender Series days before they adjusted the audio. I think now they've adjusted the audio a little bit where I don't think the UFC wants people at home to hear what these punches and strikes really sound like.
Yeah, dude, it's brutal.
Yeah, there's some people that still have like there's a barrier of realism that's missing when you watch it on TV because you don't hear what these things sound like. I remember the first time I saw, because I've been to plenty of local fights, but the first time I went to a UFC fight and I started seeing like what a high level striker sounds like when they're hitting people, when freaking people like Mirko Cro Cop are kicking and stuff like that, like, oh, okay, that's a little different, you know?
Dude, it sounds like a metal bat hitting bone.
Exactly. Bone on muscle, it sounds completely different. So that was one of the things I definitely felt helped that fight out because as we were swinging, you could hear the impact of everything, you know? Yeah. And Paul Felder's like on the side going crazy. Like he was barely doing any commentary. He's just going, you know? Yeah. So 100% best fight in Contender Series history.
You guys got 14.3 million views. And hey, the title is actually Yusuff shows off his skill set. So
nice.
They're hyping you up, bro. They're hyping you up.
Nice. To be honest, though, Mike had a great performance in that fight too. Mm-hmm. Like I had a good dance partner. That's the reason why the fight kind of looked like that. Like I said, they'd split us up against the other guys. It might have been like that for both of us.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Oh my God, you going up against 18-year-old Chase Hooper? Nah, man, come on. So we just talked about your last fight, supposed to be Giga. You want that fight back ever? Is that still one you're interested in?
If they can make it, yeah. But to be honest, they didn't give me a lot of info. But from the info that they gave me, they said Giga's like, I guess he's going through something pretty serious. So I don't think it's going to be made anytime soon. And I don't really care about waiting, you know. That's not something that's important enough for me to wait for. I really, really hope I get that Korean Zombie fight. Like that's really, really what I want.
You want Korean Zombie? Would you like that in 2022 or early 2023?
It don't. I think what his coach has said was if he's fighting again, it'll be in either February or January. Okay. But they're still kind of like on the line because he doesn't know if he wants a retirement fight or if he just wants to be done with it.
Oh, I hope he gets a retirement fight, dude. That would be a great scrap, you two.
Yeah, and from what I've been hearing through the grapevine, they're saying the UFC might be going to Asia, you know. So if that's the case, I don't mind. I'll be the main event with Korean Zombie. That would be dope.
That would be dope indeed, dude. I am pulling for that one 100%. I also saw you just posted a freaking picture of Bryce Mitchell. Is that another one you're interested in?
Yeah. Well, the Bryce, I think he's having a trouble with his opponent for the November card, and that's what I was trying to get before during that week, but it's not happening. I think the UFC they put the stop on that. At this point, I'm not ready to fight in November anyway. Once they told me it was out of the way, I finally got to go eat a good decent meal.
Now you're like, I'm gonna cut weight in a few months.
Yeah. So unless we're gonna fight at 155, that is definitely not happening.
Don't blame me there. But yeah, he was gonna fight Evliov, and I think he's out now. So
yeah, I've had a pretty topsy-turvy week with weight cuts, you know, because for the Giga card, I was already water loading before they told me I was gonna fight. I was all the way there for fight week, you know. Yeah. So
you're good to go.
So I had to stop cutting weight there. I ate a little bit, got back in town, started cutting weight for another 2 weeks again, and then fought Shainis. So once they told me about Bryce, I was like, here we go again. Yeah, got back on a diet for about 3 days, and then when they finally said no, I took my ass straight to the restaurant.
Yo, I'm a Bryce Mitchell fan, so come on, don't beat him up yet. Okay, give him a couple months.
Bryce is the man. Bryce is a good dude. I ran into him at the UFC's the main hotel they had for the quarantine, and we had a conversation, man. He seems like a good guy, man. I don't have any beef against him. To be honest, I'm more interested in it just because of the matchups. I haven't really gotten to face any grapplers, and even though I keep calling out grapplers, but they're not interested. I called out Kron. I wanted to fight Kron Gracie like early as soon as I got into UFC, but Kron just like vanished. I don't know what happened.
He hasn't been around.
Yeah, like
people be posting memes like, "Have you seen this man?" And it's Kron.
Yeah, he had a good fight against Alex Caceres. He had a tough. Maybe that's what happened. He had a pretty tough loss against Cub Swanson. He took a lot of damage. Yeah. He took a lot of damage. So I don't know. Maybe he's a little jaded from fighting, but yeah, he literally just vanished. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But I'm pulling for that TKZ fight, man. That would be awesome. So you just said you're back home in Maryland. You're training at Team Lloyd Irvin. For those who don't know, who are some of your like main training partners, coaches?
My main training partners, Stefan Chukwi, Peter Pettis, is like a lot of local DMV guys, especially not as later on in my career. Every camp I kind of change it. The only people that stay the same are my jiu-jitsu guys, because my gym is full of world-class jiu-jitsu talents like Jamil, Malachi, Angelo. All those guys kind of stay the same. Elijah Dorsey, and some of our kids program kids are starting to grow up now to where like they're elite jiu-jitsu guys. There's so many world champion jiu-jitsu guys walking around. They're the only ones that really stay the same. Outside of that, we're always bringing new people in, depending on what the fight is. That's why one of my best camps, to be honest, was for Alex Caceres, because his main thing was taking people's backs and and choking them out. So for that camp, I only worked with all the guys I grew up with, you know, and they're the ones that came in for the fight camp. They came in for fight week, you know. So it was really cool. Like all of us grew up like from freaking team. Like I was 19 when I joined the team, but they've been here since they were like 5, 6, 7 years old, you know. So they like. My head coach was really proud, you know, because he kind of sat back and they ran the camp. So it was really cool.
So you came to America when you were 9, right?
Yes.
How did you end up in Maryland? Did you guys come right there, or
yeah?
Just random ass Maryland.
So funny enough, right? I wasn't a legal citizen for a while, so you know we was kind of stuck where we was at, but I didn't start seeing people. I ended up in PG County, and PG County, Maryland is like one of the most wealthiest Black counties in the world, but altogether is mostly all Black people here. I have this running joke. I was like, I didn't even know there was this many white people in America until I started wrestling. Wrestling is what showed me that there was actually white people in America.
Funny,
you know, my middle school had 1 white kid. My high school had like 2. So I didn't get to travel a lot. And then after high school, I started like training and fighting and traveling. From fighting, I started seeing the rest of what America looked like. I'm like 21, 22 at this age. I remember I called my mom. I was like, man, we landed on the wrong part of America. You know?
You got the culture shock in your 20s.
Yeah, exactly. Because you start seeing like what California looks like, Arizona. I'm like, damn, we're like, because I've never left. The furthest I've ever been out of Maryland was like going to New York and New Jersey. It's not really much of a difference, you know.
Yeah, I'm an East Coast guy, so
you're still on the East Coast, you know. Yeah. So it was cool to start seeing the rest of the world. But yeah, I've been here since I've been to America. It was when we finally became legal and started having the proper documents. Then we started going back to Nigeria, but it was always Nigeria and here. And here.
You ever been to St. Michael's by chance, like an hour and a half away from you?
No. And what I mean by Maryland is literally like PG County, like the DMV. Exactly. Yeah, okay. Like what people refer to as the DMV is what I mean. Like when people outside of Maryland hear about Maryland, they start naming like these parts where like us people from the DMV, we don't even like know that exists, you know.
Yeah, you're just it's like
literally like the 3 circles of DC, Maryland, Virginia, where they all meet together.
Yeah.
That's what we count as Maryland.
So that's what that means, DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Yeah, it's a DMV. Yeah. The same way like people from Baltimore, they don't associate with us, you know, like they're like, oh, now I'm from Baltimore. Like they like, even though it's all technically Maryland, you know.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm from the DMV part of Maryland.
Oh, that's funny, dude. Interesting. I got a buddy who's from the DMV, and he says the same thing. He's like, I'm not from Maryland, I'm from DMV. I'm like,
Yeah,
whatever that means. But now I know. So I got to ask you this. I got to bring up possibly a painful memory for you just about a fight, because it's still like fresh in my memory. And I just looked, and it was a year and a half ago already. Your fight against Arnold Allen was your only loss in the UFC.
Yes.
I just kind of want to know, like, what was it like to fight him, dude? Because I'm very intrigued by both his like quiet, weird personality and like his weird, like in your face, awkward fighting style. Like,
yeah, his striking is a bit awkward, you know, because he looks like he's off balance when he's like throwing his punches, but he's very accurate with it. But well, let me start with his personality. He's a good guy. I like Arnold, you know. I talked to him. I talked to his dad afterwards too. I talked to his dad before the fight too. They're all good people. I like when I fight people, man. I like real guys, you know. Some people try to put on this persona for you know, they're trying to get money. I don't blame them, you know, but when you run into the real dudes, you got to appreciate that, you know. Cool. At the end of the day, it's a sport. None of us really want to really hurt each other, you know. It's just a sport. So Arnold, he's always A1 in my book, and no matter how many times I definitely want that fight back, but in my book, he's a genuine good guy. But yeah, fighting him is very awkward. It sucks, man. I remember after that fight, somebody says Sodiq is gonna be so mad when he goes back and looks at this fight and realize he lost because of 2 strikes, you know. Really? And it's like those 2 strikes were so significant, you know, because on the stats, you see I outstruck him like by a drastic margin. Yeah. But his strikes were more significant. He dropped me with a cross and then dropped me again with a head kick and wobbled me with a head kick. Yes, yeah, yeah. And they both happened in different rounds, and those solidified those rounds for him. Right. So I can't be mad at it, you know. But it's one of those things where like I also learned a very valuable lesson to where I realized in that fight that I no longer have to worry about the physical part of fighting. That is now time for me to start focusing a lot more on the mental part. Okay. And that's what I really took away from that fight. Because in the 3rd round, if you watch that fight in the 3rd round, my coaches told me I was down 2 rounds. I knew I was down 2 rounds, but my whole career has been based off of me. I drill a lot. Like I constantly drill to where I'm fighting. I kind of fight on autopilot. Yeah. And that's what got me all the way to the UFC. So in that 3rd round, I'm down 2 rounds, but I'm still going off of autopilot. I'm trying to win a round instead of making a decision to look for a finish. Go for the gun. In my mind, I'm still like, okay, let's win this round. And if you watch the fight, it's like, I understand. I remember the commentary. The commentary was saying something about it. It was like, man, Sodiq Yusuff had to break apart and try to finish this fight. But it's one of those things where like, when you haven't been in that position yet, you experience everything.
And I mean, dude, that's so much easier said than done. Like, I just, from someone who like spars lightly and trains, like for a coach to say, all right, you have to go in there, knock him out or you lose. Like, Jesus Christ, that's okay, coach. Yeah, let me do that for you.
But I feel like now, because of the lesson from that fight, now I'm more like when I fought Alex Caceres, I made sure I was more tuned into what I'm actually doing, you know. Like now I'm at the point where I even went to a sports therapist just to like start focusing on that stuff in sparring. So when it comes to the fight time, I could make it work, you know, because I feel like that's what really separating like the champions and the best guys from the rest of us. At this point in my career, I know how to fight. Everybody, to be honest, if you're in the UFC, not even just the top 15, 90% of the UFC knows how to fight. It's no longer a physical thing. At this point, it's all just mental and decision making. So that's what I really took from that fight. It's hard to learn when you're always winning, but when you lose, if you don't learn from it, you're an idiot. You know?
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have, man. 'Cause a lot of people don't have that attitude. But hey, you're both going on the track. I think both of you two will be top 5 contenders within a year.
Oh, that's a fact, man. I honestly think we will meet again in the future. Because even after the fight, man, I was so bummed out. Like him and his coaches were so happy, man. They were like, man, Sodiq Yusuff is the harder fight than some of the guys I'm gonna face in the future, you know. And that, to be honest, that's one of those fights where we kind of had to fight each other because a lot of us we wasn't getting matched up. Right. And both of us was both getting denied, you know. As like this is a fight where we're gonna have to do, and we'll see each other in the future. So I wish him the best, man. I'm really interested in his fight with Cater. because like selfishly, I want to pick him to win, just because he beat me.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm like, yeah, he's gonna beat Cater, but I really don't know. And
Good fight.
however he does against Cater, I know MMA math isn't real, but however good he does against Cater will kind of give me a good aspect of like where the rest of us stands too,
Absolutely. And hey, man, when that fight happens again, that's gonna be a good one because it was a great fight the first time. I got 2 more questions for you, then I'll let you get out of here. So inevitably, obviously, UFC is coming to Africa. Dana White's been saying it for like 2 or 3 years. He said after COVID, you got to assume that's like 2023, 2024. Obviously, you're one of the Nigerian fighters in the UFC. Who would you like to share that card with? What other African fighters?
Man, of course, it got to be the top 2 guys, man, Izzy and Kamaru, And to be honest, I feel like I was a little bit jaded just because it kept on being postponed, but the COVID thing is it's a real it's not like a BS excuse, it really was. I feel like they would have done it already if all the pandemic stuff didn't happen. Yeah. So to be honest, let's see, man. Maybe I don't think it's gonna happen next. Well, if it happens next year, it might be at the end of the year.
Towards the end,
Yeah. But 2024, let's see if it happens, man. I'm definitely not gonna miss out on that card. They need to treat us like how they do like the Irish, give us
you the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Give them the cans, bro.
I don't want to say it like that, but make us look good. Make us look good the same way you do with the Irish when they
Absolutely. And in England, they do the same shit in England, man.
Yeah.
But it makes for a good card. Is there a stadium or like an arena in Nigeria?
So right now, I feel like the best place they'll probably have is like somewhere in South Africa. I'm not very familiar with how the stadiums are back in Nigeria, but I feel like South Africa would be the best spot. I was like, man, to be honest, y'all keep going to the Middle East, just come down just a little bit.
I know, right?
I made the joke. I said we would accept Egypt, just come down just a little bit and it'll
10
be
miles.
okay. Because like a lot of people, I don't know if you're familiar with like the immigration process here. A lot of my family can't come to America because it's so hard to get visas here, But anywhere in Africa, they will definitely show out.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I'm so looking forward to that card. I love that. I love when countries have their first card, like France, England, all that. So Africa will be a show. My last question for you, enough talking about fighting, dude. We've been doing it for 20 minutes. I just want to ask you about Sodiq, the person. When you're not training, when you're not fighting, what are you doing? Do you have any hobbies, interests? I see you got an adorable pooch there. What is your life?
Yeah, to be honest, my life is full of mostly nerdy stuff, man.
Yes, like, me too. Look at my.
Yeah, I'm a big anime guy. I've gotten into like Magic the Gathering as an adult.
I got my deck up there. Yeah.
Oh, nice. What do you run?
I got an Angel Life Gain.
Oh, nice. White and blue.
White, yeah, just white. Yep.
Nice.
Look at us nerds, bro.
Nice. Do you play Arena?
Dude, I haven't played Magic in like 4 or 5 years. I just have my card up there, so I'm very out of practice.
Oh man, yeah. Now I don't really play paper as much because, man, funny enough, now I'm about to get really nerdy on you. so I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, right?
Me too, bro.
And then somebody, I forgot who it was. I feel like it was one of the black belts at the gym. Was like, no, it was actually one of the coaches. So it was one of the jiu-jitsu coaches. He said, have you ever heard of Magic the Gathering? It's like an adult version of Yu-Gi-Oh. Sure. So I was like, all right. So I watched them play. I was like, oh shit, this looks fun as hell. Yeah. I got a deck, and I'm gonna tell you how bad this got. So this is the head jiu-jitsu coach for the kids program. Mm-hmm. In the middle of teaching class, we would get a table together. We'll be playing Magic while the kids are learning moves. And then it got to the point where our head coach at the team was like, all right, y'all can't play Magic no more. The kids aren't on the side like we're playing Magic. The kids are on the side like doing flips and shit instead of actually doing jiu-jitsu practice. We're spending nights at the gym where we won't leave until like 3 a.m. in the morning because we're all playing free fall. Like it's like I don't think it's a real rule set. Like it's everybody from themselves playing free fall. It'll be like 4 or 5 people playing, and whoever's alive at the end wins.
That's great.
So we'll be playing until 3 a.m. in the morning. Head coach bans Magic from the gym. So now our gym has we're on the top floor of a 3-floor building. Sure. So now we go on the second floor by the elevator. We set up tables and we're like hidden in the corner. 2 black belt world champions, kids head coach, and me getting ready for the UFC.
Playing fucking Magic.
Magic the Gathering almost ruined almost ruined our whole gym. It
Oh,
also
so
ruined
good.
my UFC career. It got to the point where like the only reason why I really think we stopped playing was because I stopped playing, because it got to a point where people was taking it too seriously. People was getting in fist fights over Magic the Gathering.
Oh shit.
So it's like people started taking this seriously, like man, you only attacked me because I put in a submission on you, blah blah
Oh
blah.
my
Like, all right,
God.
man. It got to the point where it's like, all right, we gotta stop this. So now I only play Magic on the phone. I play Arena a lot. Like I play it almost every day. So that and anime, that's really all I do, and hanging out with friends.
So anime, have you watched Primal yet?
Primal. No, what's that on Netflix?
It's it's on HBO Max. It's like an Adult Swim show. You know
Oh
Samurai Jack?
no. My girlfriend told me about it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Bro,
I haven't watched it yet. She said it's pretty good though.
So good. It's like my favorite show ever.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
That,
highly recommend.
Recently, I was just making this joke at the gym. Did you watch Bleach?
No. Not yet.
Okay, all right. The joke I was making is like Bleach just came back out last week, and there's like these millions and millions of Bleach fans that just popping up out of nowhere, man. I'm like, man, you guys are so fake. I remember when people used to hate on Bleach, man, but like now it's back out, so we'll see. I think I read mangas a lot too, so this season is definitely gonna be legit.
So one more personal question for you. I saw you actually got engaged in April. Congratulations. Do you guys have a wedding date set yet?
No, not yet. I told her right away. I was like, the engagement, I'm gonna take our time. You know, it's not no rush. I told her, I said, this buys me 2 years right here.
Yes, sir.
So I'm definitely not in a rush. It's something that I'm gonna plan out. You know, I'm also not a big fan of wasting money, so it's definitely something I'll take my time with.
Yeah. So ironically enough, your fight night last week, I got married.
Nice, congratulations.
Thanks, dude. But we took 2 years too. So yeah, take your time, enjoy the engaged life. But dude, we went to Jamaica for the honeymoon. Just use some of that sweet UFC cash and go on a nice honeymoon, dude. It's the best week of my life. Treat yourself.
I will.
But Sodiq, dude, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, man. I'm super excited to see what you got coming up in the UFC. Hopefully a Korean zombie fight in Asia. That would be awesome. Again, thank you so much for your time, and we'll do it again when you got something booked. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a nice one, champ.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, Sodiq Yusuff.